What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do?
The city's largest wholesale food market. As a result, Beijing is locking down more residential compounds. The BBC's Stephen McDonald reports.
All of the sort of neighbourhood around where that market is, apart from people residing there not being allowed in, all those residents, they're not allowed to leave the Chinese capital. Long distance buses are being cancelled, going to other provinces from Beijing. Taxis are being told they can't leave the Beijing city limits. So each day the measures are becoming more and more strict.
The epidemic continues.
People think you're locked down.
India, which reported more than 10,000 new cases, taking the total to 343,000, and New Zealand no longer COVID-free after going.
They're holding up 5,000 temporary workers because 2 temporary foreign workers dropped dead in Windsor and Chatham. Windsor, Chatham, and Haldimand County are reporting 4 deaths altogether.
As protests against racism and police brutality continue to sweep across North America. 70% of respondents to the Leger and the Association for Canadian Studies survey indicated they trust the police a lot or somewhat, down 9% from May and 11% from April. The decline coincides with the killing of George.
Yeah, because you assholes keep telling them, oh, if we tell them the truth, they'll do this and that. No, because you keep telling them that, they feel emboldened to do whatever they want to us. Because no matter all, 70% of people support us. We're a minority. We're the new immigrants here. Because you assholes keep playing along, passing for white, right? I heard somebody called it white passing. I never heard it called that before.
2020 with Crab Week on 680 News. Crestwood Preparatory College.
They can't pass for white.
Graduates in 2020.
People argue with me.
Crestwood has always tried to inspire excellence and nurture individuality in our students. The fortitude.
Vous l'êtes au gazelle, concours ange, il est destiné pour le monde, quoi? C'est ça, oui, bah, il fait. Them bullets fly by, when bullets fly by. What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by. What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by?
They can track that this virus has come from Europe. That means it's mutating. They don't know where your HIV or hepatitis came from. They don't know where this virus came from. It's mutating like that.
Tough down, nigga, cause I'm in your spot. Give it up, nigga, you might get shot. I'm the hot shot, so you're gonna get shot.
There's nobody immune because it just keeps adapting.
My bills are pop. My 9mm gonna make you drop. I talk about my 9 cause the shit's so hot. When shit goes down, he's ready to pop. He's stressed out, and I'm trigger happy. I gotta take the life, and it feels so nasty. Believe me, this shit ain't easy. I'm a nigga with attitude, so fuck you pussy.
What, shouldn't they be saying, oh yeah, you might get this thing, tell me white shit in your eyes.
What you
Then it's
gonna
talking
do when
about,
the bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by. What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets
Yeah,
fly by?
Mother Nature put the sun on that side and give me right-handedness. The shit up there.
Like the Bruce or snitch to the cops. We are cocked back, let it go for the power. Bullets fly by like a breeze in the summer. Cold dog set FDLCTE, RIP, and KSP, HOTSHOT, ITSME. Yeah, it's me. I let my bullets fly high. Shooting at you niggas like kites in the sky. Blue beams, I'm killing this rap shit. So what you gonna do when my bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by. What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by. What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by?
In this camera. Believe it or not, there's white patches.
Everyday niggas talking shit.
He's actually technically brown.
Like
Don't
they
look like
tough
it.
in this
No,
motherfucking
it don't
shit.
look like it. There's
But they
spots
not,
with
nigga.
0 pigment.
When the bullets fly by.
Or even my sickle cell is undercover. They don't like that. Only shows them, oh, they don't know what I am. They're looking at my fucking shins. They know what I am. I can't cover them because of the leg ulcers. Right. Well, we don't track race. But the Ontario Health Insurance Plan knows that I have sickle cell. So how are you not tracking race? They have a drug now, they're saying that will protect you from COVID for a year. Disease only been out 6 months. What you gonna do when the bullets fly? And they have some steroid they're saying helps in 20% of cases, or a third of cases, or some bullshit number, 60% or some shit, if it's a severe case. Oh, so the person fucked their health up royally first and then got right. That's real helpful. 20% of the non-severe cases. Placebos have worked like half the time. Don't say that doesn't. There's something wrong with it.
I don't knock, I don't pick locks. I kick doors down and let go shots. Call me hot shot, real life nightmare. And the S I make niggas cry gangsta tears. No alcohol, no beer. Like Freddy, I'll kill you in your nightmares. Where the cash at? Where the stash at? Fuck around, we gon' find where your girl's at. She's in the strip on the floor like the doormat. Brick and break the blue sky, cause you know you whack. Cool dogs, that's what we thinking of a rap. This ain't fiction, we thinking of a rap. 1 crib, 2 trips, 3 crips, 4. Cool dog, nigga, 6 bloods on the floor. 1 crips, 2 crips, 3 crips, 4. Cool dog, nigga, 6 bloods on the floor. Booyah! I'm dreaming, oh, no, I said so I'm coming in tough. I'm not dreaming, I'm dreaming, oh, I hope you're not seeing so I'm coming in tough. I'm not dreaming, I'm dreaming, oh, no, I said so I'm coming in tough. I'm not dreaming, I'm dreaming, oh, I hope you're not seeing so I'm coming in tough. Coming in tough, no matter what, by the window, by the door. Yeah, speaking on the lock for the door, that's for sure, cause we know what you got in the store.
You don't change your fucking snares every day to put the colors, dude. Like,
no move, never in the
you got a whole stack
bad move, then you get your ass kicked. You're not in the blues, so I bitch gas you to the eyes of the roof, and I hope you see it. Cold those around, so your ass is frozen. Woof, motherfucker, now you about to get defeated. My bad, you the one who chosen. I'm gonna be able to give no options, not more made, but a man on a mission. It's not a good dream, but a bad situation. More like a nightmare, you are the victim.
Minneapolis really an hour behind? Looks like having an hour head start. I'll be up at like 4:30, and then it's 3:30. They'll still be trying to crawl over. 4:37 in the morning. So everything I can get on this fucking thing's all staticky today for some reason. It's coincidental. Oh, that didn't work. I clicked that once and click it again. There we go. Thank you. I can't remember what the fuck I was from Beijing. The East Coast one fucked up last time, didn't it? Oh, yeah, no, that was the fucking gender-based violence. Yeah, I want to hear that. Because China's not going to say much about this airborne thing. It wasn't a Chinese doctor that came out with that. What's this fucking snake called 8 hours ago? So if we can get the fucking player to work, we might be able to fucking hear that, eh? I want to hear about this snake. Oh. Where's your dog, buddy? Trying to do the traffic report. But what's your traffic tip? Where's your dog? No, how did you freeze that fast? What the fuck just happened? there we go. Yeah, I told you those old gonna make this shit work, yeah. I'm going to press play. I'm going to wait patiently.
On FM, on the station app, and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. Newswatch.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for behavioral change among men to bring an end to gender-based violence. He made the comments in a virtual message commemorating Youth Day. Gender-based violence has reared an ugly head again, as several women have been murdered in the last 2 weeks of Level 3 restrictions. Ramaphosa says it's unfair that women don't feel safe in their own country.
Gender-based violence continues to plague our country, and we've been saddened by the continuous and recurring news of men attacking and killing women in the past few weeks. Men continue to kill women in the most horrific and barbaric fashion.
He's promised that government is strengthening the laws for harsher sentences of Level 3 restrictions. Ramaphosa says it's unfair that women don't feel safe in their own country.
Gender-based violence continues to plague our country, and we've been saddened by the continuous and recurring news of men attacking and killing women in the past few weeks. And men continue to kill women in the most horrific and barbaric fashion.
He's promised that government is strengthening the laws for harsher sentences.
To provide greater protection and support for survivors and increase sentences for perpetrators. We are rolling out more sexual offences courts.
School governing bodies within the Bay Haven area in Chatsworth say many parents haven't sent their children back to school. Some of the parents at 11 schools in the Durban South area say they refuse to put their children's health at risk as COVID-19 spreads in schools. At least 28 teachers and 5 learners in KZN have contracted the coronavirus since schools reopened last week. Brandon Pillay is a representative of the chairpersons of the SGBs. He says parents have the right and a responsibility to protect their children.
Our parents have agreed that they will keep children at home until we reach a peak and the number of cases starts decreasing, where you see some kind of change. Right now, across the country, there is no change in the number of cases. If anything, it's increasing by the day. So we have to wait until we have some kind of hope of a decrease in the number of affected or infected cases.
There are currently 3,959 confirmed cases in KwaZulu-Natal, while the national figure stands at 73,533.
The hope of a decrease in the number of affected or infected cases.
There are currently 3,959 confirmed cases in KwaZulu-Natal, while the national figure stands at 73,533. Well, another municipal office in the Vaal Triangle in Gauteng has been closed after an employee tested positive for the coronavirus. The workers based at Mfuleni Local Municipality's main office in Vanderbijl Park. 2 weeks ago, the Mid-Vaal Local Municipality's head office in Merton was closed after a staff member contracted the virus. And Burundi's president-elect Evariste Ndayishimiye will be sworn in on Thursday. The ceremony has been fast-tracked by the sudden death of the incumbent Pierre Nkurunziza. Nkurunziza died last week Monday of what authorities say was heart failure. He was 55. Normally, following the death of a president, the Speaker of Burundi's parliament would step in as head of state. But the Constitutional Court ruled last week that Ndayishimiye should be sworn in immediately instead of in August as planned. Well, there's a 30% chance of rain in parts of KZN later today, while heavy rain leading to localized flooding is expected over parts of Umkhanyagude and Kinketwayo districts from tomorrow into Thursday. You can expect maximum temperatures of between 11 and 20 degrees tomorrow. And that's all your Newswatch bulletins on this Youth Day. Good afternoon.
On FM, on the station app, and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. Newswatch.
School governing bodies within the Bay Haven area in Chatsworth say many parents haven't sent their children back to school. Some of the parents at 11 schools in the Durban South area say they refuse to put their children's health at risk as COVID-19 spreads in schools. At least 28 teachers and 5 learners in KZN have contracted the coronavirus since schools reopened last week. Brandon Pillay is a representative of the chairpersons of the SGBs. He says parents have the right and a responsibility to protect their children first.
Our parents have agreed that they will keep children at home until we reach a peak and the number of cases starts decreasing, where you see some kind of change. Right now, across the country, there is no change in the number of cases. If anything, it's increasing by the day. So we have to wait until we have some kind of hope of a decrease in the number of infected cases.
There are currently 3,959 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in KZN, while the national figure stands at 73,533. A total of 3,540 new infections were confirmed in the last 24 hours, with 88 deaths. The minibus taxi industry says the COVID-19 relief payment from government is not enough for everyone. It's rejected from 33. A total of 3,540 new infections were confirmed in the last 24 hours, with 88 deaths. The minibus taxi industry says the COVID-19 relief payment from government is not enough for everyone. It's rejecting the 1.1 billion rand set aside to mitigate the financial impact of the coronavirus lockdown on operators. Instead of a once-off sum, bosses are demanding a 20,000 rand payment per taxi for each month of the lockdown. Santako's KZN's Piso Shangase says there are just too many operators.
Our concern is that when this amount is then divided to all individual operators, it's a shameful amount, because a 1 billion and then you talk of about 200 and something number of operators. How much is each operator going to be given? And we're also being told that within that amount of money, we are also required to give something to the drivers.
The National Taxi Alliance's Theo Malele says they want the Transport Department to revise regulations imposed on the industry.
The Minister is also going to look into the possibility of increasing the capacity to try and mitigate the losses that we currently are incurring. It's basically to sustain the operation.
Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula is today expected to announce a way forward. And police in New York say a number of their officers appear to have had soft drinks contaminated with bleach. They were taking a break while on duty in Manhattan when they discovered a toxic substance in their beverages. Several of them have been taken to hospital. A union says the environment in which officers work has deteriorated to a critical level. Good. Meanwhile, the United States is about to introduce a range of police reforms after nationwide protests against brutality and racism. President Donald Trump will sign an executive order outlining some changes. More news at ecr.co.za.
On FM, on the station app, and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. Newswatch.
Oh, these morons are so cocky.
The minibus taxi industry says the COVID-19 relief payment from government is not enough for everyone. It's rejecting the 1.1 billion rand set aside to assist operators in mitigating the financial impact of the coronavirus lockdown. Instead of this once-off payment, bosses are demanding a 20,000 rand payment per taxi for each month of the lockdown. The National Taxi Alliance's Theo Malele says they want the Transport Department to revise regulations imposed on the industry.
The Minister is also going to look into the possibility of increasing the capacity to try and mitigate the losses that we currently are incurring. It's basically to sustain the operation.
Santako KZN's Piso Shangase says there are just too many operators.
Our concern is that when this amount is then divided to all individual operators, it's a shameful amount, because a 1 billion and then you talk of about 200 and something number of operators. How much is each operator going to be given? And we're also being told that within that amount of money, we are also required to give something to the drivers.
Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula is today expected to announce a way forward. President Cyril Ramaphosa says he wants to break the cycle of unemployment and poverty among young people. He's delivered a virtual message as ANC president as part of the party's Youth Day commemorations.
It's necessary to find meaningful employment. And although we have massively increased enrollment in higher education and have broadened access to students who come from poor and...
Oh, it's so bad. I have to listen to these asshole white people at the fucking soup kitchen tell me how wonderful and civilized they are and how they'll imply things and things like about how violent and savage and cannibalistic those, what they call them, spear truckers are and shit like that. This is what I have to fucking, I don't have to. This is what I fucking hear from these people. Fucking, not one of these motherfuckers here that owns cabs gives a fuck about the drivers. Oh, my plate lost value. For 25 years, you were told to change how you're doing business. Fucking morons.
And middle-class families, we have yet to break.
It's basically to sustain the operation.
Santaco KZN's Fiso Shangasu says there are just too many operators.
Our concern is that, and this amount is then divided to all individual operators. It's a shameful amount because a 1 billion and then you talk of about 200 and something number of operators. How much is each operator going to be given? And we're also being told that within that amount of money, we are also required to give something to the drivers.
Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula is today expected to announce a way forward. President Cyril Ramaphosa says he wants to break the cycle of unemployment and poverty among young people. He's delivered a virtual message as ANC president as part of the party's Youth Day commemorations.
It's necessary to find meaningful employment. And although we have massively increased enrollment in higher education and have broadened access to students who come from poor and middle-class families, we have yet to break the cycle of poverty that is passed from one generation to the next.
He's also praised young people who stand up against any form of racism.
I commend the courage of the teenagers and young adults who spoke up about the racism they experience at schools in our own country. Let us now build on this courage and embark on a systematic program to root out racism in the education system. But we also need to root it out everywhere.
And North Korea has blown up an inter-Korean liaison office on its side of the border. The explosion in the joint industrial zone in Kaesong has been confirmed by the inter-Korean liaison office on its
everywhere.
And North Korea has blown up an inter-Korean liaison office on its side of the border. The explosion in the joint industrial zone in Kaesong has been confirmed by the South Korea's Unification Ministry in a statement. Its destruction came after Kim Yong-jong, the powerful sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, at the weekend alluded to the collapse of the joint liaison office and called it useless. Since early this month, North Korea has issued a series of vitriolic condemnations of the South. Activist North Korea has issued a series of vitriolic condemnations of the South over activists and called it useless. Since early this month, North Korea has issued traction came after Kim Yong-jong, the powerful sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, at the weekend alluded to the collapse of the joint liaison office and called it useless. Since early this month, North Korea has issued a series of vitriolic condemnations of the South over activists sending anti-Pyongyang leaflets over the border. Last week, it announced that it was severing all official communication links with South Korea. The top story at 10 o'clock, the minibus taxi industry says the...
So you need a devil. You always need the devil's advocate. Oh, why would you need the devil's advocate? Who the fuck would think that throwing some pamphlets and some money over the border would get something blown up and killed? Well, I did. I knew that was a bad fucking idea dealing with these psychopaths. Yeah, I think a little bit like they do. They are in war state of mind. Oh, it's just some benign shit. Yeah, the bombs they're going to throw at you or not. Devil's advocate. So the devil did what he wanted. You didn't listen. The virus don't give a shit either, eh? The B-19, the COVID-19, hepatitis, HIV, all that shit. Ebola, Zika, MERS, SARS-1, all that shit. They don't give a fuck. Your enemy don't give a fuck about what you've been thinking. Okay.
COVID-19 relief payment from government is not enough for everyone. More news at ecr.co.za.
About 8 minutes and change.
On FM, on the station app, and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. Newswatch.
So I could probably get.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says he wants to break the cycle of unemployment and poverty among young people. He's delivered a virtual message as ANC president as part of
East Coast Radio. Newswatch.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says he wants to break the cycle of unemployment and poverty among young people. He's delivered a virtual message as ANC president as part of the party's Youth Day commemorations.
It's necessary to find meaningful employment. And although we have massively increased enrollment in higher education and have broadened access to students who come from poor and middle-class families, we have yet to break the cycle of poverty that is passed from one generation to the next.
He says young people are the agents of change.
Young South Africans refuse to accept the constraints that the past has placed on their present. They are determined to forge a better future for themselves and their communities.
COVID-19 has claimed the lives of 88 more people in the country. 82% of these deaths were recorded in the Western Cape, which is the hardest hit province. The other deaths occurred in the Eastern Cape and Gauteng, while KZN has reported 0 fatalities this time. The Health Department
to forge a better future for themselves and their communities.
COVID-19 has claimed the lives of 88 more people in the country. 82% of these deaths were recorded in the Western Cape, which is the hardest hit province. The other deaths occurred in the Eastern Cape and Gauteng, while KZN has reported 0 fatalities this time. The Health Department has also confirmed 3,540 new coronavirus cases in the last 24 hours. This takes the national infection tally to 73,533. To other parts of the world, and New Zealand is no longer free from coronavirus. 2 women who flew in from London have tested positive after being released early from quarantine on compassionate grounds to visit a dying relative. They're the first cases in the country for more than 3 weeks. The country had declared itself rid of COVID-19. Sparked a round of testing, including passengers and staff on their flight, as well as the hotel they were staying at. German tourists have started arriving on the Spanish island of Mallorca as part of a trial of so-called safe travel corridors. They were greeted with a guard of honor by hotel workers in one resort. They're the only foreign tourists allowed to visit the Balearic Islands until the end of the month. It is in the country for more than 3 weeks. The country had declared itself rid of COVID-19. It sparked a round of testing, including passengers and staff on their flight, as well as the hotel they were staying at. German tourists have started arriving on the Spanish island of Mallorca as part of a trial of so-called safe travel corridors. They were greeted with a guard of honor by hotel workers in one resort. They're the only foreign tourists allowed to visit the Balearic Islands until the end of the month. The travel has been allowed due to Germany's low coronavirus infection rate. And finally, the Oscars have been pushed back 8 weeks because of the coronavirus pandemic. The Academy Awards will now be held in April instead of February. Officials have also decided to extend their eligibility window. Senior Film Awards editor for Variety magazine, Mark Malkin, has told Sky News that might give films that had to pause production a fighting chance.
A lot of films didn't think they'd be able to make it in time.
On FM, on the station app, and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. Newswatch.
COVID-19 has claimed the lives of 88 more people in the country. 82% of these deaths were recorded in the Western Cape, which is the hardest hit province. The other 15 deaths occurred in the Eastern Cape and Gauteng, while KZN has reported 0 fatalities this time. The Health Department has also confirmed 3,540 new coronavirus cases in the last 24 hours. This takes the national infection tally to 73,533. Meanwhile, global foreign direct investment flows are likely to plunge by 40% this year due to the coronavirus crisis, and worse is expected next year. This is according to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, which projects FDI will shrivel to below $1 trillion for the first time in 15 years. It's forecast to decrease by a further 5 to 10% in 2021 and only start a recovery the following year. In its World Investment Report for 2020, the group says the global economy is in a much dire situation than it was during the 2008 financial crisis in 15 years. It's forecast to decrease by a further 5 to 10% in 2021 and only start a recovery the following year. In its World Investment Report for 2020, the group says the global economy is in a much dire situation than it was during the 2008 financial crisis. It warns the economic impact of COVID-19 will hit developing countries hard, with disruptions to major productive sectors and industries, declining remittances and receipts from tourism, and contracting world trade. Back home, the cold weather conditions that have gripped most parts of KZN are expected to worsen. The South African Weather Service says some showers are expected from today, with possible heavy rains, which can lead to localized flooding on the north coast from tomorrow night into Thursday. Forecaster Stacey Corborn.
You can expect fine to partly cloudy conditions throughout the day. We are, however, expecting it to cloud up from the afternoon. There is a 30% chance of showers and rain expected along the coast as well as the adjacent interior. The places included are Durban, Moorgate, all the way to Richards Bay, even Sotwana Bay should get some rain.
Cooperative Governance spokesperson Senzelo Msila says North Coast disaster management teams have been placed on alert.
MEC Shomoga has urged residents to continue to pay careful attention to the weather patterns, as these rains that are expected in the northern areas could lead to localized flooding. MEC Shomoga has also urged residents to continue to be cautious as the inclement weather conditions persist across the province, where we've got cold weather.
Durban and Richards Bay reaching a maximum of 22 degrees this afternoon. Margate 21, Ulundi 20, Pietermaritzburg 18, Ladysmith and Newcastle 16, Moy River 14, Kokstad and Underberg 13. Your top story at 8, COVID-19 has claimed the lives of 88 more people in the country, while 3,540 new coronavirus cases have been confirmed in the last 24 hours, taking the national infection tally to over 73,500.
FM on the station app and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. Newswatch.
The cold weather that has gripped most parts of KZN is expected to get worse this week. The South African Weather Service says some showers are expected from today, with possible heavy rains which can lead to localized flooding on the north coast tomorrow night into Thursday. Forecaster Stacey Coleman.
You can expect fine to partly cloudy conditions throughout the day. We are, however, expecting it to cloud up from the afternoon. There is a 30% chance of showers and rain expected along the coast as well as the adjacent interior. The places included are Durban, Moorgate, all the way to Richards Bay, even Sotwana Bay should get some rain.
KZN Copter spokesperson Senzelo Msila says North Coast disaster management teams have been placed on alert.
MEC Shomoga has urged residents to continue to pay careful attention to the weather patterns, as these rains that are expected in the northern areas could lead to localized flooding. MEC Shomoga has also urged residents to continue to be cautious as the inclement weather conditions persist across the province, where we've got cold weather.
In Gauteng, police have arrested a 50-year-old suspect in connection with the murder of a woman in Pretoria. Police had earlier pleaded with the victim's boyfriend to contact local authorities, as he was allegedly the last person to see the woman alive. The 42-year-old woman was murdered and discovered in her home in Esterus on Sunday morning. Police investigators followed up on information and traced the suspect to Eldorado Park in the south of Johannesburg, where he was apparently in hiding. And Donald Trump says the decision by the highest court in the U.S. to protect gay, lesbian, and transgender people from workplace discrimination is one he will live with. The Supreme Court ruled that these workers will now be protected from any prejudice. Bias against LGBT staff has been legal in nearly 30 American states. The U.S. president says the decision is final.
They've ruled. I've read the decision, and some people were surprised, but they've ruled, and we live with their decision. That's what it's all about. We live with the decision of the Supreme Court. A very powerful decision, actually.
The top story at 7, the cold weather that has gripped most parts of KZN is expected to get worse this week. The South African Weather Service says some showers are expected from today, with the possible heavy rains, which can lead to localized flooding on the north coast tomorrow night and into Thursday. You'll find more news at ecr.co.za.
I'm Nick Evans. I have an unusual passion. Snakes. I'm usually the guy walking towards these amazing creatures when they intersect with humans, when everyone else is running away. Join me for my latest adventure in snake rescue.
It's almost 2 a.m. and I've received a call from a factory up in Cater Ridge on the R103. The security guard called me. I see I had 2 missed calls, so obviously it took him some effort in waking me up. So the security guard phoned me and he said there's a python on the property. He's saying it's too big, maybe 3 meters. I hope he's right. Haven't had a python call in about 2 months. So
make sure you stay 2 meters away from 3 meter pythons.
1 meter long brown house snake, but it doesn't sound like it, so I'm quite excited. Despite the excitement, I have had to stop past the petrol station for some sugar just to wake me up. I'm still a bit sleepy, but driving at this time is so nice. There's just no one on the roads. Thank you.
On FM, on the station app, and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. News Watch.
I'm Nick Evans. I have an unusual passion. Snakes. I'm usually the guy walking towards these amazing creatures when they intersect with humans, when everyone else is running away. Join me for my latest adventure in snake rescue.
It's almost 2 a.m. and I've received a call from a factory up in Cater Ridge on the R103. The security guard called me. I see I had 2 missed calls, so obviously it took him some effort in waking me up. So the security guard phoned me and he said there's a python on the property. He's saying it's too big, maybe 3 meters. I hope he's right. Haven't had a python call in about 2 months, so I hope I'm not going there for a 1 meter long brown house snake, but it doesn't sound like it, so I'm quite excited. Despite the excitement, I have had to stop past the petrol station for some sugar just to wake me up.
Well, they don't lie about what it's in the food, eh? It's not food. Sugar.
But, driving at this time is so nice. There's just no one on the roads. I think I've seen like 2 cars. So the pythons apparently, it sounds like in some long grass, but on the property, they're watching it, they can still see it, they're all stressed. So I said to him, just keep watching it, please. Just try not to lose sight of it. He said it's moving very slowly, which is great. So hopefully that doesn't change. And yeah, I'm really hoping I find it. There are a few pythons in that area. I know people that have caught pythons on that road, but it's the first for me. So yeah, pythons are always special. You know, it's the Southern African python, South Africa's largest snake. So it's an icon of this country. And they are protected species. Unfortunately, so many people kill them for food or for traditional medicine, which is all illegal. So, as I said, it's always a treat, it's always special, it's a privilege. They're definitely one of my favorite snakes. I love getting calls with them.
So, more people get killed. I don't know how to phrase this. Most time when people see a snake and you get scared, whatever, back up, leave, whatever. Most of them are not poisonous. Most people that try to kill a snake because they think it's poisonous, that's what gets them bit. And poisonous or not, that's what could get you fucked up. Especially in a country where you're hours away from whatever medical facilities they have. I know South Africa, in the big urban centers, you probably got the same facilities we got, but out in the fucking bush, yeah, you're a helicopter ride away. Well, everybody know I have orange helicopter service, right? So yeah, don't try and kill the snake. Oh, it's a snake. I'll kill my uncle. If I saw a snake, I'd shoot it. You have a gun, stupid. Swear to God. Yeah, my uncle. It's half related.
They're so impressive. Such a massive snake. And they are so incredibly powerful, which is all illegal. So, as I said, it's always a treat. It's always special. It's a privilege. So it's an icon of this country. And they are protected species. Unfortunately, so many people kill them for food or for traditional medicine, which is all illegal. So, as I said, it's always a treat. It's always special. It's a privilege. They're definitely one of my favorite snakes. I love getting calls for them. They're so impressive, such a massive snake, and they are so incredibly powerful. People don't realize how powerful python is. Well, some people think that the snake from Anaconda, the movie, and that it's going to strangle you. So whenever I go to grab one, people are horrified onlookers. They usually think, "Wow, he's going to get suffocated." But yeah, of course, they're not like that. Our pythons can give a really nasty bite. Their mouth suffocated, and that it's going to strangle you. So whenever I go to grab one, people are horrified onlookers. They usually think, "Wow." People don't realize how powerful python is. Well, some people think that the snake from Anaconda, the movie, and that it's going to strangle you. So whenever I go to grab one, people are horrified onlookers. They usually think, "Wow, he's going to get suffocated." But yeah, of course, they're not like that. Our pythons can give a really nasty bite. Their mouth are full of hook-like teeth. So if it bites you, it's nasty, really nasty bite. It rips you open. But it doesn't suffocate you. It doesn't try and eat you. I mean, 3 meters of python's not going to eat you. So it's not like I go to python calls worried that I'm going to end up in the stomach of a python. I've got to just be careful it doesn't bite me. But thankfully there's no venom, so it can rip you open, but it can't kill you, and that's the main thing. That's always the main thing. Is big. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not too far now. Fortunately, it's not a very long drive. I just hope they keep watching it. Hello. They are not going to take their eyes off it, bro. Where am I going? This is where it all happens. It takes too long. Your phone's going to ring while you're recording. I want to hear those greetings, dude. I'm sorry. They keep watching it. Hello. Where am I going? This is where it all happens. Oh, I've got to put on the question. Hello. Right now. Oh, no. Oh, what is it? Rock python? It's a rock python, yeah. Oh, rock python. Very cool. It was bigger. It's big one. It's big. Come on, bro. There you go. This is my style with a good. No, clock. Don't do that. Hey, I wonder if it's. Well, I want to do it.
Reacts to the province excluding Toronto from phase 2 this Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Details on the federal government's plan to extend the Canada Emergency Response Benefit as the Parliamentary Budget Office.
You're here for shit.
Numbers are missing from federal aid spending estimates. And the Prime Minister said to speak any moment now from Ottawa. We'll take you there live as soon as it happens. A breakthrough in treating the most severe COVID-19 patients. Researchers in the UK say an affordable steroid has proven to reduce deaths by more than a third in patients that need to be on breathing machines. Another Buffalo as the Sabres fire Montreal.
What is another what? Bro, that's not a sentence.
Every time I see them, I just come to think how beautiful they are. Stunning snake. Yeah. See the quote. Hey. What do you want
still blocked out all these collision cleanup. Just looking at it right now, they're sweeping up debris, and all the vehicles involved are hooked up to tow, so there shouldn't be too much longer. Again, they've got to get this debris off the roadway first before they open up at least the right lane. Eastbound QEW is jammed up, though, for approaching here, Ontario, 2 east of Cawthron. Now, if you're using alternates to get around this, you can reach a radio station. So the traffic spotter are letting us know that Dixie, north and southbound, is blocked off just north of the shore underneath the railroad tracks.
Underneath the railroad. What do you mean underneath the railroad tracks, bro? How the fuck do you get underneath railroad tracks? What do you just fucking say? Underneath the road? You mean under a bridge or something? What do you mean under the railroad tracks, bro? Okay, search Canada Radio. Really? You can do that? This is my personalized gateway page because it's 680news.com, but the subdomain is player.680news. How to remove musty smell. Yeah, that's for me. They knew I got my Google searches because I've searched dumb shit. Why is my ass lumpy? I swear to God, it comes back with an answer. That's what blew my mind. Download our app from store. Well, I would if I had store, but I guess I'm gonna have to do that from the phone and put them on the fucking box. If I had Google Play on this fucking box, none of this would work because it take up so much memory. Why are you not playing? I pressed play and you didn't do nothing. CFTR, yeah, live, okay. Well, I don't need to expand the window because you're not video, you're audio. What the fuck is that? I swear to God, they're giving me a video window. They're gonna pay extra for a fucking plug-in. Give me a video window.